Recently, I was invited to a private event put on by Breitling in San Francisco, and it was a really cool experience because what they were doing was celebrating their NFL licensing agreement, which included the San Francisco 49ers. So they had Alex Smith come into attendance in their kind of flagship store in the middle of San Francisco and kind of give us a little bit of insight into how he's thinking about the San Francisco 49ers, especially after coming off that tough loss against the Kansas City Chiefs, where Alex was in attendance. And so he talked about Brock Purdy and he gave his true thoughts about Brock Purdy. And he gave a phenomenal quote about how he believes that Brock Purdy is the most courageous quarterback in the NFL. And I think that's really saying a lot considering what Alex Smith has gone through as a quarterback himself. Again, breaking his leg. I think he almost died. I think he almost amputated his leg, and he came back and he played football. So, if you want to talk about someone who's qualified to be able to say that, I think Alex Smith is that person. So take a listen. But he also discusses why he enjoys doing what he does to kind of counteract some of the Brock Purdy talking heads that seemingly talk quite negatively about him. Take a listen at what Alex had to say.
For the most qualified to talk about this, Brock Purdy, the final pick of that 2022 NFL draft. So many quarterbacks drafted ahead of him, and he's thrown in his rookie year mid-season and able to basically just keep it going. What made him ready to take over this team at that moment?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a special individual, right? Again, not just the player. The person is incredibly special, and I think that's kind of the unique thing as a quarterback. Like clearly, ESPN has this stat when they track all first-round picks, every position in the history of the draft, and quarterbacks are the lowest hit rate. So the lowest chance of success by position is quarterback. It's below 50%. O-linemen are the highest, by the way, and I think a little bit of it's because of what I just said. Like, there's so many things that are not quantifiable, the immeasurables that make a quarterback. It's not, the combine, which is this underwear Olympics. It's the height, the weight, the hand size, how hard you can throw it, how far you can throw it, how fast you can run. It doesn't necessarily result in being a good quarterback. And again, how do you put a measurable on courage and calmness and mental toughness, on accuracy? And those are things that certainly I think Brock Purdy is the most courageous quarterback in the NFL. When you start talking about it, he's not, I mean, Brock's put together now. I think a lot of people kind of talk about his height, but he's a guy now, but he stands in there, people bearing down on him, and just doesn't flinch. And that's a quality that you have to have in the NFL. You have to have that. You have to be fearless. You have to be able to bounce back after a 3-pick game and to be able to play, right? You got to be bounced back after being the last pick in the draft and every team passing on you, and it just can't. You can't waver, and he has that. And again, I think the entire league's still trying to figure out how do you identify the next Brock Purdy, right? And no different, obviously, with another Bay Area guy in Tom Brady. So, but what are those qualities, and how do you see them beforehand? And certainly, obviously, the Niners did. But again, yeah, he's really special, and we're lucky to have. I turn on the TV Monday through Friday, and there's a lot of talking heads. There's a lot of people that claim to be experts that say absurd things and don't really have any idea what they're talking about. And so I very much enjoy pushing back on that. Right? Last year, for a great example, I had a field day with all the Brock Purdy haters. The game manager, he's a product of the system, that. And when you turned on the film, it just couldn't have been further from the truth. Brock Purdy is a phenomenal quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And there's not a good quarterback in the NFL that doesn't play in a great system, that doesn't play with great talent around him. And the fact that he was the last pick in the draft, people just couldn't wrap their heads around. And so I really did enjoy how could I make my argument, right? How do I convince the viewers and all these crazy people on TV otherwise? And so again, it's something that and every week it's different, right? There's always something out there that I really feel like it's under my skin, and I like to attack and see if I can kind of convince people otherwise.
So I mean, it. I love it. I love it because we can all understand that that game against the Chiefs wasn't Brock's best game, and that's fine. Every dog has his day, and it is what it is. It's about overcoming those. And so far in Brock Purdy's career, we've seen him rebound from those games. So not concerned from that particular aspect, but man, when you have a guy in your corner like Alex Smith is a Brock Purdy guy. Like it's crystal clear. And I love everything that he had to say. One of the things that he said was he's like, man, when you talk to Brock, it's like talking to a 12-year veteran. And I have to agree. I had the opportunity to interview Brock at his football camp this off season, and that was one of my takeaways as well. As I'm like in my head, I'm like, this guy's 24 years old. I'm 11 years older than he is, and he seems like he's my age. Like I don't even know how to explain it. Like he's just so composed, so there's a confidence of just being like I am who I am, and I think that you can feel that. You know, what do the kids call this day aura? The aura is strong with Brock. He is just very put together for a 24-year-old. Again, I think when people continue to evaluate Brock, they just continue to leave out the simple fact that, man, this guy is still just getting his start. He's not a 30-year, like he's not, he's still young. He's still learning. He's still developing. And he has his ups and downs. But at the end of the day, man, he's made of the right stuff. And like you hear from uh Alex Smith, playing quarterback's about the intangibles. It's yes, it's about having all the physical tools, but that's not what makes a great quarterback. And that's, it comes down to uh, doing the things that Brock does. And so I think this is a storm that he will be able to that will pass, and he will be able to overcome all of the scrutiny that's been kind of coming at him. And I just thought Alex did a fantastic job of really kind of contextualizing it all. And as you can see, he doesn't believe he's a game manager. He doesn't believe he's all those things. So it was a great conversation. It was a great event. I had the opportunity to speak with Alex one-on-one. We talked about football, which was phenomenal. Anytime I can get with a current or former player, we just talk ball, man. It's a lot of fun. But let me know what you guys think about what he had to say in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.